Hello everyone, this is Paul with the astrology report for December 2016. So at the beginning of the month we're going to have the Sun in Sagittarius. So what does this mean for us? Well, it means that we're going to have themes of harvesting or enjoying the harvest that we've had, focusing on faith and optimism, because we've done, ideally for the past 8 months we would have been working on ourselves, so doing all the internal work, and now it's time to look outwards, look at our place in the universe and learn to connect with a higher power. I mean, Sagittarius, it rules religion, so, and what is religion but a codified explanation of how to connect with divinity? It shows a route to God, but it doesn't necessarily show us how to connect with God itself. We all have to forge our own connection, and this is a sign that is very good at doing that. It gives us the faith and optimism to explore ourselves, explore how we connect with the universe, link up with people with similar belief systems as ourselves, and just enjoy ourselves, show goodwill and love to others, extend our generosity after the harvest we've gathered over the course of this year. And this will take us all the way up to the winter solstice, and this on the 21st of December. And obviously in the south it's summer solstice, so the season will work up differently. So for the first part of the month it's going to be Sun in Sagittarius, and we can see it in nature. So when the sun is in Scorpio, the leaves of the trees all turn gold like fire and then get dropped to the ground, and now's the time to enjoy our harvest and start looking to the future, thinking, now that we've harvested this crop, what would we like to produce next year? What is our vision? What higher ideals do we want to manifest in our lives, and how can we extend more goodwill and generosity to others? Once we've done that, we've come to the winter solstice. This is ideally it's a time of reflection, so look back over the past few months and just see, what have we learned about ourselves, what new vision have we been granted through the experiences that we've gathered over the course of the year, and what actions do we now need to take to manifest this vision. So it's all about developing the goal. So set the goal and then start taking disciplined action in relation to it, and it's all about self-control. Now, got to be careful with Capricorn, because the objectivity of it is designed for control of our actions, not our emotions. We still need to stay connected with our hearts, because that's the guiding force behind our true goal, if you like. So it has to feel good for us to know that this is actually a goal, but it also needs to be something that isn't going to cause harm to others. So if it's a goal that's motivated by love and compassion for others, a goal that's going to help other people but isn't going to make us martyr ourselves. So with Capricorn, this brings us the idea of discipline, self-control, patience, all the qualities that we need to do to really test our faith and really go for the goal that we've decided to select. And it's also time to really start preparing the ground for next year. So we've already gathered everything, now it's taking the action to prepare everything, to let go of the things that we don't need anymore, and to start taking the disciplined action necessary to prepare the ground for next year's manifestation and all growth. So this time of year all the work is internal, it's not the external gathering of the harvests of farming, but we still need to prepare the ground for the next crop so that we don't waste our time and we don't undermine our efforts in terms of developing goals. So once the sun's in Capricorn, this is the time for taking action, to really start working on self-discipline. I mean, you think New Year's resolutions, that happens when the sun is in Capricorn, but ideally we should be starting to prepare for those resolutions before the new year, so that we're in a good strong position to really start working on those resolutions and taking the actions necessary to make them happen, and develop the patience to see us through. Because it's very easy to set new goals and be enthusiastic about it, but then quite often we struggle a few weeks in, and this is where the patience of Capricorn really comes to the fore and really helps us to take that action, to push through that inertia and really do the work needed to manifest the goals that we've chosen for our New Year's resolutions. Now, during December we have a couple of key formations in the sky. One of them is a wedge formation, so this involves Uranus retrograde in Aries, Jupiter in Libra and Saturn in Sagittarius. So this formation actually lasts well into March of next year, but the key is Uranus in Aries is about the I am. It's our sense of self and who we believe our identity is. Jupiter in Libra, on the other hand, is the other, so it's the parts of ourselves that we haven't integrated yet, and we see it through all the relationships we have with other people. So we need to really observe what happens in our relationships, what parts of ourselves are people reflecting back to us, but at the same time we need to make sure we avoid codependency by being completely reliant on that person to define our sense of self. So that's why we need to balance the two. A strong sense of self-identity, but heed what parts of our shadow are being reflected back to us, and really use love to integrate it back into ourselves so that we become a whole person again. Saturn in Sagittarius helps with this because Sagittarius is all about our belief systems. Saturn's been there since tail end of 2015 and is really testing our beliefs, acting like it shows us how do our beliefs manifest in our external lives, with the idea being that we eventually break free of the need for external authority. We stop turning to other people to tell us what to believe and tell us what the big picture is, and really turning on our inner authority. So develop our high connection with divinity, God, the universe, call it what you will. And by the energy between Uranus and Saturn is very harmonious at the moment. So what this means is that whatever beliefs that we incorporate in Saturn is guided by the ideals of Uranus in Aries. So whatever we discover about ourselves can easily transform our belief systems to open us up to a higher perspective, and opening up to the higher perspective informs our ideals and allows us to ground them and allows us new status quo to form. And this aspect between Jupiter and Saturn, the beauty of this one is it allows us to see the wisdom of incorporating discipline and hard work into our efforts. It allows us to see how by working hard we can actually tap into more grace, and by tapping into this grace it allows us to achieve far more than we can do if we just rely on brute force alone. And for this we do need self-discipline and the willpower to keep going, to make sure that we don't allow things to put us off, and we don't just give up at the first hurdle. So by overcoming obstacles, this really strengthens our character, and it also allows us to transform ourselves and become the empowered people that we need to be. The other formation is a T-square, so this is between, again, Uranus in Aries and Jupiter in Libra, but this time we have Pluto and Capricorn forming the apex of the square. Now, Pluto's been in Capricorn since 2008, and it's all about truth and showing the shadow side of anything Capricorn. Collectively, this has been institutions which we've seen various controversies come out, various scandals showing that they're not the bastions of society that we thought they were, and they really do need to be transformed. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to ditch them altogether, but the very nature of them has to be transformed at the core to remove anything which does not serve truth. Anything based in lies is breaking down now, and in our own personal lives it's about the long-term goals we set. Are they really our goals, or are we just following somebody else's dream? In which case we need to have the courage to really look at ourselves and ask, is this what I really want, or is there something better? Is there something that truly resonates with what my heart tells me is possible? So, I mean, that may sound sentimental, but our heart contains a lot of wisdom. We have to engage our emotions in it. Logic alone is not enough. When the heart and mind are together, that's when we make choices based in love, and these are the ones which will last. It doesn't matter what obstacles we come up against, as long as we continue to operate in love, then our goals can manifest. And we also need to remember to work together on things. We've been living in a paradigm based on individualism, but unfortunately we're starting to see that that is really starting to break down. We can't just work on our own anymore to get things done. Now it's time to really start working on cooperation, to build our communities up again, to really start working together, and making things happen that way through a spirit of harmony, balance, and working for social justice. So if there's anything in your area where things are inharmonious, this is time to start embracing diplomacy again, rather than any kind of standard biting that we've seen at times. It's a time to start opening our minds up, listening to each other properly, which means that we do have to learn to be silent. We need to quiet our minds and really hear what the other person is saying, because they may well have valid truths for us. But if we're not prepared to listen, then the truth of the other person's point of view will not integrate with ours, and the higher truth will not emerge. So now's the time for really listening and spending time in nature. Sun in Sagittarius is natural law, it's nature. If we actually step back, spend a bit of time in nature, we'll find our minds naturally decluttering, and a higher wisdom will start coming out in ourselves. We don't have to hear another person, we don't need to speak to someone of a higher authority to hear this. These thoughts can emerge naturally if we just spend a bit of time in nature, slow down, and listen to the wisdom that our higher self is trying to give to us. It's always there, it's not just this time of year, but this is a time of year where we can really learn to tap into it, to connect with our higher power, and really embrace a higher perspective, so we don't take everything personally anymore. We look at the big picture and we just go with it. We accept this high vision, and then we look to see how can we manifest it. And Saturn is the grounding force. It's in Sagittarius anyway, so it's really starting to ground our beliefs and shows how they manifest in our external world. And if we can change our beliefs to a more empowering one, then we can ground ourselves in truth, in love, in light, and we can achieve truly amazing things despite what we're seeing happening around us in the world. We can work together to bring about a higher future, one that is based in love, in kindness, in generosity, and trust. These are all things that we can always develop. We just have to make the choice to do it. Remember, astrology does not force us to make any changes whatsoever. It's just there as a guide in the sky. It gives us symbolic lessons, but we have to choose to embrace those lessons. So choice and free will are always there. Astrology does not dictate your life. As much as we're sometimes led to believe, you have to believe that astrology dictates your life for everything to control you. If you just look at it at a symbolic level, however, rather than it being gospel and it being these things will manifest, we can't really predict how anything will manifest, but we can tap into the spiritual lessons and we can learn them, so that we don't have to go for round two with harder physical circumstances to try and get us to learn these lessons. So that's the astrology report for December. Take care and be blessed.